If you like to laugh, and who doesn't, then you've come to the right place. Welcome to My Funny House with the Powell brothers. Frank Powell is a real estate broker who was born and raised in San Diego, along with Frank's brother Mark, a real estate broker who also lives in San Diego. Each week, the Powell brothers bring in a special guest comedian to share hilarious real estate stories so you can learn what can go really right and what can go really wrong with home improvements and home ownership. So now, let's get into it with My Funny House. Here are your hosts, Frank and Mark Powell on The Answer San Diego.
Good morning, San Diego. Happy Saturday. My name is Mark Powell. I am one of the owners of Powell Brothers Realty. I'd like to introduce my brother and partner, Frank Powell.
Good morning, San Diego. Thanks for tuning in. This is Frank Powell. Welcome to My Funny House. And remember, Mark, guess what we have today in studio?
We have
Maria
Herman. Woo!
Welcome.
Cheers.
The crowd goes wild. She exists.
She's here.
She does exist.
She's right here.
And we were fortunate enough to see her at the comedy store in La Jolla last week, where she put a stunning performance on and made us all laugh. So thank you very much.
Super funny. Very, very funny comedian.
Goodness.
Very funny.
Thank goodness.
Okay,
Glad
so
you guys
Mark,
came.
we do have another special guest in studio, and today we're going to talk about lenders' role in real estate. And we captured one of the best in San Diego, Buddy Green, who owns Bay Equity.
Yay!
Yeah.
Buddy
And
Green's
he's going to
here.
get rid of the mystery of the lending side, and he has 35 years in this business, and at one time had his own talk show, and he was on that microphone for an hour at a time. So he is a very skilled communicator. So we're going to grill him today and see what's going on with these lenders.
I already have a question for him.
Yes, go ahead. I'm ready.
Okay, ready? We're going to fire questions at you. First of all,
Wait, I have a question.
okay.
Buddy, can you spot me 50?
Exactly. Well, what's the interest?
Did I get in before you?
No, that's good. I know.
I'm gonna need some paperwork from you first.
Okay, what's
so
the
I can
interest
get
rate?
you that 50.
He wants our tax returns.
Give me a loan.
Okay, so this is what is the role of the lender in a real estate transaction?
Well, the lender's purpose, of course, is to arrange for the financing of the transaction, and that can be very complex, sometimes smooth, but probably the most important part, unless someone's paying cash, which you're starting to see more. I mean, you guys see cash deals coming, but for the most part, it's our role to get all the financing in place in time to meet the
What do you mean get the financing in place? What does that mean?
Well, it means as far as getting the financing
Right.
in place is that people are coming to buy a transaction and they need to borrow money to be able to make the deal happen. And everybody's circumstances is different, the amount of money they could put in of their own. And we come in and we arrange for that financing and try to navigate through the jungle of lending, which can be extremely complex, as a lot of people out there, I'm sure, have experienced in their own transactions.
What we do, Mark and I, when we have a potential buyer, is we don't take them out to look at anything unless they can tell us what they can afford. That's like going shopping, and you can afford like maybe a Corolla, and you're looking at Ferraris. It just doesn't make any sense.
That's me.
That's me too. I was looking those windows and can't
I'm a
afford
Dodge
it.
Giblet.
But you don't want to drive them around all the time.
Well, listen, speaking of vehicles, most of the people I know are comedians, and that's pretty much what they can afford for housing. So,
Their car is their house.
Yeah, well, that's true. But,
Hey, let me ask Buddy a question. What is the most money you've ever lended to somebody? And you don't have to tell us their names.
Okay.
You know,
Probably a
best.
good idea.
Yeah, like right around $2 million.
But you got a loan for $2 million?
That's correct.
Wow.
Yeah, but there's many more.
was that for a house in Claremont?
Yes.
Exactly what the price is now.
do you know if they have a spare room?
Exactly.
They have an ADU in the back, so that'll
sure
be good for you.
Make sure that person doesn't die. They owe you $2 million.
Hey, you know what I've always wondered? So what skills does it take to be a lender?
Yeah, we have people that want to be a loan officer, and they go, hey, because our industry involves so many other industries that we all work together. So when you see someone like that, I don't know, you have to be smart with
like
numbers.
I'm a lender.
Yeah,
you have to be a math.
do it?
You have to be a math major, or how does that
What
work?
test do you have to take?
You do have to take testing, and luckily they've made it tougher after the crisis in '08. And
Oh, yeah.
through
We remember
2010.
that.
So they did change the rules up, so it was a little more difficult to become a lender. So you have to pass a certain amount of testing to make that happen. But if you're looking like what does it take, math skills are extremely important. To be able to think on your feet
Figure.
fairly quickly is pretty big as well.
Here's a good question,
Yeah,
Mark.
go ahead. Is it for me?
No, it's for
Okay.
Buddy.
Is it-
Maybe
I
we
have a
can-
question. I'd like to answer.
Yeah. Yeah. Give it to Maria.
Okay, Maria, I'm going to give you this.
Okay, good.
What kind of scams have been used with lenders? Because you get like the call from somebody, I don't know, that may have a international accent saying, "Hey, we can fund your money and we could get you a loan." And how is there still a lot of scams out there? 2008 didn't disappear. Is there still people out there? And how do you prevent that?
Oh, this is very sad. You're on to me. I see. Okay. But I'll defer to Buddy for the real answer.
Yeah, as far as there's plenty of scams that are out there. There's, when it comes to advertising, the bait and switch is out there quite a bit. Also, false advertising. There's plenty of my clients who get mail about refinancing that makes it seem like it's from me, but of course it's not. It just says our name on it and says my name, but down below in small print, it really will be some other company. So they're trying to trick people into.
Buddy, explain the bait and switch, because we assume that people know what that is, but tell them that people, we have 21-year-olds to 31-year-olds, millennials are buying houses. They may have never heard that term. What does that mean, bait and switch?
It means that when somebody, a lender is advertising certain terms to lure you in, only to have that switch up once your loan application and paperwork shows up, then they have an out. And that lender who's looking to advertise is trying to figure out a way how to capture you. And since most people are just trying to figure out, I want the lowest rate, then the advertisers will just put the lowest rate because you will call and then go through the process only to find out that you can't actually get the rate that they promised.
So that's why when you're going to get a loan, you go with somebody you know and you trust that has experience. That's why Buddy Green is that person.
Thank you.
Let me ask you something, Mark, Mr. Broker.
Okay.
Mr. Broker of the Year.
I'm broker.
Why do agents generally recommend lenders? Why would we recommend a lender?
Well, primarily because of past history. When a realtor has good experiences with a lender and the lender provides great communication skills, when they say they're going to close the transaction on time, it happens.
Closes, right.
When they give you a pre-approval letter or a pre-qualification letter, the person is actually pre-approved or pre-qualified. They didn't just write it on a cocktail napkin. Yeah, he's good for 50.
And they don't bait and switch.
Right, and they don't bait and switch. Correct. Yeah.
I think the other part of it is, as realtors, since you have experience, you've been through a lot of transactions, so you've seen the problems. So that's why it's important. There are many people who really feel that just getting a loan is no different than opening up a savings account. They just want to get the lowest rate and don't understand the complexities. But as a realtor, you do. And that's why you push so hard to have your person in there and why the client should trust you with that, because you have experience, you know the pitfalls, and you know the person who you're referring is going to come through for you.
Hey,
In 2008 compared to now, that was 13 years ago. There's a lot
Right.
of agents right now that didn't experience what we dealt with lenders and banks and all the bad loans. So that's why we have the lender in here, because you could still get scammed. And if you didn't go through that 2008 and you weren't an agent at the time, it's easy to get swindled.
well, it's true.
I really wish you would stop talking about that.
Yes, sir. The international unknown.
I'm not going to have any business.
Hey, let me ask you a question, buddy. What is a hard money lender? I hear this term being thrown around. Hey, we're going to use a hard money lender. What is that?
I'm going to
I'm going to make him an offer he
A
can't
hard
refuse.
lender is a person who is willing to lend to somebody when they have a lot of money down, and they can't qualify for a traditional type of loan, but they need the loan and they're willing to pay a much higher rate and much higher fees because there really is no other way for them, and it makes sense. So they will follow through and do that. But
Is that a private person who provides that money, or who provides the hard money?
It can be, but it's usually companies that are out there that, not that you know that much about them. Usually you get referred to them by somebody else. But there's plenty of hard money guys that are out there, and it is private money that they are using, and it's just an investment for them. If it makes sense, they'll do it.
And then what's a gift letter? You see this term thrown around
Oh
a
yeah,
lot.
that always screws us up, because you have the people that say, I'm going to get 20,000. That's when the underwriters take and they go, we got to verify this is not drug money, it's not bad money, it's not
Right.
untaxed money. So that's the hardest part,
gift money.
when the parents just want to give 20 grand to their kids and it becomes a household. Why is that?
Our parents,
Our parents would give
no,
us 20
we didn't
cents,
get
right.
20
Yeah.
grand.
Yeah.
No.
If only there were more gift letters back.
I'd like to adopt some parents who are willing to do that.
Exactly.
too.
Me too.
Yeah, the CFPB after the crisis decided that we were going to be the money laundering police.
Okay,
And
got
so
it.
the amount of verifications we have to do is really, that is the main reason that everybody has to jump through so many hoops.
What is
How
what?
much are you allowed to give?
Yeah.
Doesn't it change every year?
Different, are you talking about from a tax standpoint or from our standpoint? I mean, from our standpoint,
like-
they can give as much as they want, and often that happens. What happens on their taxes is a whole nother story as far as the gift amount.
What's the CFPB?
It's the regulatory body that was put together back after the crisis to
Okay.
regulate our business.
Oh, I thought
Okay.
it was something that was going to add to
Something.
like carbon air emissions. or
Exactly.
something.
It's,
Is it going to kill the ozone? What is
exactly.
that?
I thought you had to get a shot for it.
Yeah, these
know?
these guys are bigger than.
Buddy,
than
I'm going to ask you a hard
everybody.
question. Are you ready? 'Cause
Okay,
this-
wait. This is a hard one.
this is a
Drum
hard
roll.
one.
We need a
Anyone-
drum roll.
Anyone can try to answer this one.
Okay.
Oh, jeez.
What is the
I'll go
difference? In California, they have what's called the transition is done with a trust deed as opposed to a mortgage. I heard that there was really legally, there's no such thing as a mortgage in California because we trade with a trust deed. Can you explain that?
I don't know that I can explain it well for you
Okay.
on the show.
Am I right or am I wrong?
Yeah, we use a deed of trust here in California to do our transactions.
And isn't it true that a mortgage is more like you have to go through a court system and have an attorney versus something that you can just go right to the county assessor's record to switch the trust from one person to another in the entitlement?
that would be correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit easier here, isn't it, Mark?
I think so.
Most states, you have to have an attorney when you're signing all the escrow documents. Did you know that? Yeah.
California does things a little
Well,
bit
there's
different
there's a
than
lot of
everywhere else.
documents. So I can tell you when we get a client and we ask them for a pre-approval letter, sometimes they say, I have a pre-qualification letter. But what is really the difference between a pre-approval letter and a pre-qualification?
pre-qualification,
Or
right.
there is there a difference?
There truly is a difference,
Okay.
although most people will treat it the same way, and it's the semantics when people are talking about it.
Right.
But technically, a pre-qualification is if I talk to you over the phone and I get all your information from you, and I can do some calculations and figure out exactly what you can do based off of our conversation. Pre-qualification. Pre-approval means you actually give me all your documentation, I verify your assets, your income, I pull your credit. Now I know for sure that you're not telling me a story. Now it's a pre-approval.
Oh, this sounds like when I have to book a comedian. I get them on the phone. I'm like, yeah, you sound really good, but let's see the documentation. What's your 401k?
Well, this sounds like dating to me, you know?
But do they have to do a little skit for you, though, to be
Oh,
funny
they
enough,
definitely.
right?
It's a whole song and dance with a dog. It's really.
Buddy, do you recommend that people call more than one lender? Or like, what do you do when somebody calls you and goes, well, how do I know you're the best? Do you refer them and say, go ahead and do your shopping, or how do you handle that?
I personally don't. I don't. The whole idea of where realtors will give 3 names, which in the old days they did that and
Right.
still think that they need to. But the truth is it completely confuses the client when that happens.
Right.
Because if you give 3 names and they get 3 different answers, only one of them is right.
Right.
And 2 of them are wrong, which means now you've already pushed them in the wrong direction, and now they don't know what to do. So it's one person. You name the person that you like and that you trust, because over and over they perform for you, and that's what's important.
You know, we have the similar situation here with Frank, me, and Maria. If you ask us a question, and you get 5 different answers, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll change my answer every half hour.
Exactly.
But that's my prerogative.
What's the shortest loan you can get these days? Because I heard they're 15. Is there a 10-year loan, or what's the shortest you've ever done?
10-year loans.
Wow.
Technically, you could go shorter, and there's actually 5 years. The amortization, certain lenders have the ability to shorten up that amortization and still close the deal. But usually 10 years is the shortest. Hardly anybody does them because that's a pretty big payback. Those are large payments to make every month.
And
it's
that's a pretty big
commitment.
word you use, amortization. So what does that mean?
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Basic thing, but explain what that means.
It means that your loan is meant to pay off. So if we do a 30-year loans, which are the most common that we do, that over those 30 years, with interest added in, the principal will pay off to 0 over that time. So there's a certain amount of interest and principal every month that is being paid on it. So it will amortize and pay itself off in the 30-year period.
I have a question.
Uh-oh.
Well, first I have a comment. I heard in Japan they have 100-year loans. Is that true?
I've heard that too, actually. Not verified, but I have heard that. And
Maybe we could get a loan in Japan like for a house in California.
Well, that means
that
you have-
doesn't sound
Wait, what's that rate there?
Yeah.
You have to get your grandkids to sign on the loan because they're going to be the ones paying for it.
Exactly.
Like, who's on that loan?
But I do believe in some countries, actually, the mortgage can move from house to house.
Okay, I'm going to tell you a story I just heard yesterday. So my buddy is telling me he's going to buy a house in Italy. He's an Italian guy. And he goes, I'm going to buy a house in Italy. But they told him that for their mortgage, they can only get a mortgage up to their 80th birthday. So if they're 60, it can be only a 20-year loan. If they're 50, it can be 30. But he's 75.
Wow.
He goes,
Wow.
I had to get a
5-year loan?
a 5-year loan.
You have to go see the real people.
Which is crazy, you know?
I do have some elderly people that will ask me, I'm 75, can I
Right.
still get a loan for a 30-year mortgage? And
Yeah.
of course they can. Doesn't matter. They could be 95 and we can give them a
Yeah.
30-year
Well, that's
mortgage.
one of the things that's under the HUD. There's no discrimination according to age as well in America.
They're buying
so-
green bananas still.
And you know,
you know?
Japan, I saw this documentary. There's places where they live well over 100. Maybe those are the ones who get the loans.
Wow.
Those people.
Jeez.
I don't have a problem with like having your kids pay off your loan, but I really rather that the neighbors paid it off. What if you could just move it either side of you?
Hey, here's a good question. I think this is what really screwed us up. Have you in 2008 and prior? What is an interest-only loan?
And they still have those now,
Woo.
but not as popular. So
Okay.
different than a negative amortization loan, which was really the killer back then. But an interest-only loan is simply you don't pay any principal off. You just pay the interest. So the monthly payments are very inexpensive,
Yes.
but you're not paying your loan down. And usually you can only pay that interest-only low payment for a certain period of time, often 10 years.
And then what happens after the 10?
Then after the end of
balloon
the 10
payment.
years, you got to start paying it off. You get a nice letter from the lender
Right.
that says your payments are going to go up to this amount because it's not only that you have to pay principal and interest now, you have to pay it off in 20 years. So it becomes a 20-year mortgage. So now you've really got some, if you were
Huge
paying interest
payment.
only, now you really got to pay a lot.
Okay, that
And the reason why they did that in 2005, 2006 is because the rate of the equity was going up so high that an interest-only loan was great because if you did it for 5 years and sold your house, you'd walk out with a $200,000 cash, right?
Making a minimal payment.
Yeah, so you're making the minimum payment
Yeah.
because the house is going to evaluate much higher. And now they're doing it right now, but typically they don't 3 to 5%. But now they're going up 17%.
Yeah.
But the interest-only loan is not. I would say if you do an interest-only loan, you can't afford a house. Save your money, buy a condo, step up, stop looking for your dream house, the first house. That's what people do.
It's not so easy to get an interest-only loan these days. The qualifying is actually harder than just
Oh.
getting a 30-year amortized mortgage because you don't. Most people
like
think you're
leasing a
just going to
house.
qualify at the start at that low payment interest only, but that's not the
Yeah.
case. It's a much higher payment.
like
just to
leasing a
qualify.
house. You're
Yes.
leasing a house.
It's what it is.
So hey, let me ask. Okay, can I ask a question, Maria?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Ask me a question.
Okay,
I'm ready.
I'm going to ask you a question,
Yeah,
Maria.
I'm ready.
So sometimes I'm up watching TV late at night and I see an actor that was very popular, maybe 30 or 40 years ago.
I already know
I don't
who
want to
it is.
mention anywhere. I'm not going to mention any. One was on a show that
Red Ferrari, Hawaii.
Red Ferrari. One was a
Great
show.
mustache?
Yes,
Yeah.
big.
Rhymes
Wait,
with rhymes
wait,
with
is
Melick.
he
Good-looking
still
guy.
on the
good-looking
air now
guy.
in a different
Hair
show?
just coming out of his shirt from his
Oh, yeah.
chest. Remember
Yeah.
that guy?
Yeah, that guy's a stud.
And he's named after either a gun
Being this is a 44 Magnum.
and
Okay.
with a couple initials
Okay,
after that.
I got it.
Okay. What is a reverse mortgage? Can you tell me, Maria?
Great question.
That is when you pay your mortgage off, but the banker's behind you.
Oh God.
That's a pretty good explanation.
It is. I think that's right. I think you're right.
Reverse.
Don't ask.
You're hired, Maria. You're hired.
Okay, buddy. Let's.
What is it? What's a reverse mortgage?
Reverse mortgage, it's a great tool with a really bad old reputation. A reverse mortgage simply means that you're not making any mortgage payments, no interest payments, nothing. So instead what happens is if there's a couple ways you can handle it. If someone has wants their loan paid off, so they want to refinance a current loan, let me start that you need to be 62 or over to get one.
Okay.
62
And it works.
over.
And it works like an like a life insurance policy schedule, an actuary. The older you are, the less equity you have to have in the property because of life expectancy. So if you're taking one out at 80,
Right.
then they realize that your life may not last as long as someone who's at 62. So the rules will be a little bit different for them. But the idea is if they owe $100,000 and their place is worth $500,000 and they don't want to pay that $100,000 mortgage anymore, they'll just refinance to a reverse, and that $100,000 loan will get paid off like a refinance, like any other deal, except for moving forward, there will be no payments that they have to make ever as long as they live in the property.
Okay,
So they can live to 100 and never pay another
I
payment.
think
So if you're an older couple and you're paying for your pharmaceutical drugs, you're paying for maybe assisted living, you can get rid of your mortgage completely, which is usually a couple $1,000s, and that helps the elderly, and that's why it's 62 and over, because they may need that money because they're not out working typically on the work.
That's correct. The loan's not for everybody,
Gotcha.
but I can tell you that there's plenty of loans that I've done for people that just changes their life. For the elderly who are living off of $1,500 a month or $2,000 a month, and they've got $1,000 mortgage payment, they just have a few $100s left to
Right.
eat and everything. But take that $1,000 away and give them $1,000 raise, that changes their life.
But Mark and I do a lot with seniors, and this is really important. Before we end this show, I'm going to give you maybe two shout outs. Tell us how to get a hold of you. 'Cause this is very important. So everyone out there listening, you got to call Buddy. He's been
Get
doing
a
it for
pencil
35
or a pen.
years. Yeah, grab some pens. The reverse mortgage is a good way to look at things, what the interest rates are doing. Real estate's going crazy right now. And if you need a good lender, how do we get in touch with you, Buddy?
Best way to reach me is my cell, which is 858-449-1961. And the company's called Bay Equity Mortgage, 858-449-1961.
And you're giving a direct cell number. Wow, you're brave.
That's the best way to reach me.
okay, good.
Yeah, I'm up
probably
for it.
drop a text.
So let me ask you a question. So you do regular mortgages?
I do.
You do reverse mortgages?
That is correct.
You do interest-only loans?
do that
Do you do
conventional
VAs?
FHA, VA. I
Oh.
What is a VA loan then?
love working with veterans.
Okay,
To me, those are the best, most rewarding types of loans to do. It's the best program out there because there's no mortgage insurance. You can go 100% financing.
Which
right now,
they
you can go-
deserve.
But you have to be in the military to qualify for that.
or have been in the military. to
retired.
qualify.
Okay, retired military.
Right. And
How many times can you do a VA loan?
Nonstop. You can use it over and over again.
Wow.
If you're in the military, you have a past background of having military, you need to call Buddy to figure out what you can do because there's programs out there designed, all those combat vets, all those people that helped us, they want to give back. So take advantage of that, and Buddy's an expert at VA loans.
With the rates this low on government loans on VA and no mortgage insurance, their buying power is huge.
Huge.
right now.
Put you guys in the house, you deserve it.
Yes.
Now, Maria,
Yes.
Yes.
You're-
I want to let everyone know who's thinking about doing a reverse mortgage that another way to save money would be to adopt a comedian. They just need one room. You won't see them all day. They'll be asleep. And you can help. You can help. You can find me at comedyheights.com, Instagram, and all the social media, Comedy Heights or Maria Herman Comedy.
we have to tame it down in this radio show, but if you go watch her live, you'll laugh.
Super funny.
Really
oh,
good
yeah.
live. Excellent.
And you are live now, correct? You have live shows.
Yeah, we're extremely live.
Yes.
Even when we're not live.
Where are the
we're
live shows? Where are the live shows located, Maria?
They're, our Comedy Heights shows are at Bay Bridge Brewing in Chula Vista and
Nice.
also next to Twig's Coffee House in University Heights.
Okay,
And then
Mark, how
us.
do we get a hold of us?
You can get a hold of the Powell Brothers by hitting us up online at powellbrothersrealty.com or give us a call at 858-922-7725.
Check our YouTube channel out, My Funny House with the Powell Brothers on YouTube.
And please
Click on that, you
subscribe.
can watch-
Subscribe,
Yeah,
please.
subscribe. Hit that subscribe and the like, and watch all our episodes. Thank you so much.
Thank you
tuning
for
in. Have a
listening,
great
everybody.
Saturday.
Thank
this
you,
goes
fans.
by too fast. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks,
you
buddy.
guys for
Thanks,
having me.
Maria.
Maria, pleasure to meet you.
Hey, where's my 50?
Bye-bye.
I got you covered.
See ya.
Get that reverse mortgage.
Thanks so much for joining us today for My Funny House with the Powell Brothers, right here on The Answer San Diego. Join us next week as the Powell Brothers bring you more funny stories of what can go really right and what can go really wrong with home improvements and home ownership, and bring the laughs to you with yet another hilarious guest comedian. To find out more about the Powell Brothers, be sure to check out their website at powellbrothersrealty.com, or you can visit myfunnyhouse.com. Again, thanks for being with us, and we'll see you next week for My Funny House on The Answer San Diego.